If you're new here, hi, I'm Olivia and I'm currently studying for my MFA in creative writing. As I begin to wrap up my final semester in the program, I'm drawing to the end of my novel as well. A high fantasy manuscript set in a world of myth and magic, currently going by the alias Project Amaranth. My mission, should I choose to accept it, is to finish the entire draft by the end of May. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for this packet, I'm writing the 5 chapters right before the finale. So this is everything building up. This is all the tension, all the stakes, everything ramping up before the finale of the book. So the plot itself of the book is a little complicated, but essentially there's 2 different plot lines. There's like the past and the present, and we've been kind of alternating between the 2 the whole book, and right before we reach the finale, we get to see 3 chapters in the backstory and 2 chapters in the present story kind of alternating with each other. So that's what I'm gonna work on this week. But there is, trying to explain this vaguely, there is 2 versions, 2 contexts for how the finale happens, and that's what I'm still wrestling over, is which one would fit the story best. I think that's going to be the most challenging part of the next few weeks. My next deadline is in 17 days, and in those 17 days, I'm going to try to write 5 chapters of my book. I've never done anything like this before. I'm not a fast writer, so this is going to be a challenge for me. We're going to see how well I do. So anyway, I'm going to pack up my bag, I'm going to head to the coffee shop, and we'll see how far we get. Good news, I finished chapters 19, 20, and 21 today. So I just kind of read back through them, and there were a few parts that were just kind of like gaps in the narrative that I hadn't quite filled in yet, specifically in chapter 20. So I wrote I rewrote a scene in chapter 20 and then went through all 3 chapters and made sure that everything was smooth and filled in and edited. So 3 chapters down, 3 to go, and 2 weeks till the deadline. Hi, it's me again. Today I worked on chapter, I think it was 21, 22. So today I started work on like a fight scene that takes place near the end of the book. Give me a dialogue scene any day, but these fight scenes, man, like I can do them, but it just takes forever, and I second guess everything. And it's not just like classic sword fight or anything. This is like a sharp cut for cut knife fight between 2 assassins. So I was listening to the Winter Soldier theme from Captain America, just like on repeat, and it was stressing me out, but I was getting the scene written, so that's good. Anyway, enough rambling. I'm gonna head home. I went to the coffee shop and I had all the best intentions, but then I sat down and I started looking through all my chapter outlines, and I just realized that at this point it seems like I need to just outline the entire thing in detail, because it's not so much that there's individual chapters from here on out, it's mostly that just the entire finale from here to the end. I went through and I outlined, let's see, I outlined chapters 22 and 24. So those are 2 of the like kind of big scenes. There's part of 22 I really need to wait and plot out with maybe my brothers, but the rest of it I kind of figured out the flow of things. So that's exciting. Also, while I was at the coffee shop today, this little girl came in with her mom, and they sat next to me, and the little girl smiled at me and she waved and she bestowed this lavender bud upon me. Felt chosen. Also, it smells really good. Anyway, so am I a failure of a writer? I don't know, maybe, possibly. So just really quickly as a recap, chapters 19, 20, and 21 are done. Chapters 22, 23, and 24 are outlined, but not done yet. I'm really struggling here because I think it's a hard thing for any writer to read the stuff that you've edited and revised and polished to not quite perfection, but close. And then you have to go back and write stuff from scratch that's not going to be very good because you haven't polished or edited it yet. And that's kind of where I am with these chapters, is I know the first version of them is just not going to be very good. So I'm trying to overcome the innate perfectionism of wanting it to be perfect right from the get-go. And I know that's not going to happen. Just need to take it one step at a time. And it's also kind of a struggle because I am, by the nature of writing the ending, I'm kind of figuring out chapters for next packet as well and writing some of those. So for example, like there is a chapter for my next packet that I've already written, but I can't turn it in to my advisor because she hasn't read everything that leads up to it yet. So I think this packet is definitely turning out to be the hardest one yet. And I'm just hoping this week I can find time to write out these scenes. And gosh, I guess I've got like 7, maybe like 10 days until the deadline at this point. 3 chapters that I need to get written before then, so we're really getting down to the wire. I have a confession to make. I do not feel very good about this packet. Of the 6 chapters that I have to turn in this packet, 3 of them are done. 2 of them are outlined and 1 has not been touched. So my plan today is to start work on chapter 22, which I've outlined but not written yet. Today, tomorrow, the day after, I pretty much have no plans except for buckling down and getting this work done. So today I have to face down a fight scene, which I don't love doing, but I know I can do it. I just need to sit down and focus. You guys, I don't know. I just don't know. I just got back from the coffee shop and I'm kind of on a roll, and I'm gonna try to finish chapter 23 today. Here goes nothing. Okay, so good news. I finished the chapter. It's not very good yet, but it's done. The bad news is I do not feel as great about this packet as the past ones. A lot of it, I think, is that I'm just kind of rushing, trying to get to the deadline and not able to spend a ton of time making the writing as beautiful as I'd like. I'm hoping I'll have time to focus on that more next week if I can get this last chapter written in time. I kind of rearranged chapters. Basically, long story short, I basically just have 1 chapter left to write before my deadline, and I do want to leave some time next week to read back through all the chapters I already have done so that I can make sure they're up to par before I turn them in. The long story short is I have 1 chapter left, and I do feel like that's at least doable. But guys, I'm going to be honest with you, this packet is kind of killing me a little bit. I am not very used to writing this quickly in this short of a time, and I can tell my writing is kind of suffering for it. I want to really impress my advisor with these chapters, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that in such a short time. So I don't know. But the good news is I can always go back and edit these chapters and I can make them better. I can refine, I can revise, and I can make the prose more beautiful in the future. But at least I've written it, you know, at least there's a rough draft that exists. Anyway, just trying to keep that in mind as I go through all these chapters. Hey friends, so I didn't get any writing done this weekend at all. I had a very domestic weekend. I painted a wall and I baked a pie, and that was my weekend. My really good friend Alexa came up for the day and she helped me paint my living room wall that's really beautiful, like a grayish blue. It's called Dusty Cornflower. Blame the pie baking on the book that I'm reading right now, which is The Elements of Cadence duology by Rebecca Ross. Rebecca Ross might be my new favorite author. I love everything that I've read from her so far. I don't normally annotate books unless I really like the writing in it or unless there's scenes that really stand out to me for some reason. But with River Enchanted, this is like all the post-it notes that I put in to mark certain spots that I loved the writing. This book has strong Scottish vibes. It's just fun now and again to find a book that is like a joy to read from start to finish, and these books have definitely been that for me. I'm on book 2 right now, and I just don't want the series to end, so I've been procrastinating finishing it for that reason. So anyway, these books are at fault for the pie baking inspiration this weekend. But despite what a lovely weekend it was, I really need to get down to business now because it is 3 days until the packet deadline. I just packed up my bag and I am going to go to the coffee shop, and I'm not going to leave until either the chapter is done or they close. And probably it's going to be when they close, but I'll just come back here and write more. Wish me luck. Okay, so how did I do? I got through about a third of chapter 24, which is the finale. I kind of outlined the rest. No, I did outline the rest. Pretty much the conclusion I came to is I don't think, even if I did work really, really hard in the next 3 days, I don't think I'm gonna have that chapter done in time to my satisfaction. So what I decided to do is I just kind of rearranged the chapters and went with my original plan, which is just giving her the next 5 chapters, which are 19 through 23. And those are pretty much done. And so I really just need to read through them all and edit, but that makes everything so much easier because I think it would be a little too much to like write the entire finale and edit all the chapters that I had done up until this point, all in the next like 2 work days before the deadline. I'm gonna go home now because I don't think I can think straight at the moment. I just feel like I've been like staring at my Word doc until words emerge from my fingertips. I need a break. So I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. It is such a beautiful day today. I wish you could reach through this camera and feel how beautiful today is. Spring's here and I'm very, very happy about it. Well, friends, we have 1 day until the packet deadline. It's due tomorrow at 10 a.m. Today, I'm hoping to go through all 5 chapters and do kind of a heavy round of edits on the whole thing. That's the status, and I will catch you guys later today. All right, I'm back. So today, after printing out the 40 pages that I'm turning into my advisor next, I read through them all, marked up everything, started making all the changes that I needed to make in Scrivener. So the coffee shop closed and I got kicked out, so I'm now gonna go home and finish the rest of the chapters, just make out all the edits that I marked up. On the whole, I actually feel way better about it than I thought I did, but I definitely don't think it's my best writing, but what I'm telling myself, as long as the story's in place, I can spruce up the writing later. Cheers! Hello everyone, good morning. Today is the deadline, so the 4th packet is due in about an hour and a half. Is it my 4th already? That's kind of crazy. Yesterday I read through all 4 chapters that I'm sending my advisor, so today all I really need to do is finish some book annotations and write my letter to her. So pretty much what I'm going to say to her is that I don't feel as awesome about this packet as prior ones, because I don't think I write particularly well under pressure. Like, deadlines are good, don't get me wrong. I don't think I would get nearly as much done without the deadlines. It's just tricky trying to write this much this fast, and I think the quality is kind of suffering for it. I just want to make that little disclaimer before I jump in. But then I do have some questions about character motivations. You know, at this point in the book, I'm really ramping up to the finale. So I'm going to ask her how she feels about the pacing of everything, whether she feels like all the characters are in the right place where they need to be for the finale to happen. And then what else was I gonna ask her? Let me grab my notebook. And then it looks like one more question I had for her was there's a duel at the end of this chunk of chapters that's like a knife fight. And I think I've mentioned this before in vlogs, but I think I'm fairly decent at writing action scenes, but I really don't like it. It takes me so long and I have to do it like play by play. And then even then I'm kind of running it by my brothers. And the other weekend they were actually acting out. Like, I was reading the manuscript aloud and they were acting it out in my mom's living room with butter knives, like practicing to see if it would flow well. So that's the level of dedication we've got going on here. So I'm just gonna ask if she thinks it's clear and flows well and if she has any questions about that. So I am sending her 5 chapters, that's 19 through 23, but one of those is not technically written because, like I said, I was a little pressed with the deadline, but I do want to carry her through the entire story this semester. So just in the interest of moving along. So what I did was I just kind of covered in bullet points what happens over the course of that chapter so that she can continue to read forward uninterrupted. So it's like 4 chapters and like kind of a 5th. So anyway, I think that's it. Cheers, let's get to work. Hey friends, so packet 4 is done. It's in, and I am so tired. I can't even yeah, it's just been a heck of a week between trying to get this packet wrapped up, work and personal things. It's just been busy. It's an absolutely beautiful day outside, and all I feel like doing is going out and laying in the sun. So that's what I'm gonna do. Grab my book and I'm gonna go to a park and I'm just gonna read all afternoon because I can't think straight anymore. So let's go to the park and read, and then I will check back in with you guys as soon as I hear back from Ollie. Hey guys, so I just got back my response from my advisor, so I thought I would open that up with you guys. I'm a little bit worried about what she's gonna say. I really hope she likes it, but I don't have super high expectations. But what I am hoping for is that she can help me figure out what wasn't really working in these chapters, because I could definitely sense it, even just turning it in. I knew it was my best work. Anyway, it'll be helpful, hopefully, for her to pinpoint why. That's kind of what I'm hoping to get out of this. Here it goes. Oh wow, okay. This is super sweet, but she did start her letter by saying, I can barely stand it having to wait now 3 weeks before I can read to the end of the book. So she said she could kind of see traces of what she calls hasty composition, which is when you're hurrying to meet a deadline. Oh wow. Huh. There is a very climactic scene involving magic that I was pretty unsure about, and she did help me figure out. I think it was just a little unclear to her what was going on exactly. I was leaving a lot of it up for the reader to understand, I guess, and she was just pointing out where she was confused and what she thought was going on, and just places where I could kind of clarify everything a little better. So that's kind of the first note she made. So I was worried about a certain character's motivation, and one of the things she pointed out is that the action he takes is a little sudden, even though everything leading up to it makes sense. I think I need a few more sentences maybe to kind of beef up his motivation before he goes and does something dramatic. The fight scene I was worried about earlier in this vlog. So this is kind of an interesting thing, but generally in the writing world, it seems like people kind of advise you to change your sentence length depending on what is happening in the scene. So if you're being carried along in emotion, long sentences might work well to kind of sweep the reader up into what the person's feeling. But in fight scenes, generally the advice I've seen is that you want to write shorter staccato sentences, and she was actually saying it did not work in the fight scene that I was doing, so I relied like too heavily on short staccato sentences when I maybe needed to use a little bit longer sentences to kind of carry the flow along. So that was a little interesting. I definitely didn't expect that. Yeah, so there were a couple places in the fight scene where she said specifically that a longer sentence would kind of help carry the almost like ballet-esque movement of the fight scene, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Alrighty, so I'm now going to go look through all her comments and edits on the actual manuscript. But yeah, with all that said, I think I'm going to close out the vlog here. Thank you guys for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. That would mean so much to me. My hope is that these videos give you a little burst of inspiration in your own writing life, so I hope that's the case. And I would love to hear about what you're working on now. So if you're a writer, tell me about your project, your genre, your manuscript down below. And if you are a reader, I would love to know what story you're diving into next. For me, it's the Elements of Cadence series by Rebecca Ross. So comment those down below, and I will see you guys in the next video in which we write the very ending of Project Amaranth. Bye guys.